Join me on the Elysabeth Alfano Show, the nation's first weekly plant-based radio show dedicated to plant-based food, news, and interviews. Sunday at 3 on WCGO. Hey everybody, it's the Elysabeth Alfano Show. Thanks for joining me. I love being with you live every Sunday at 3 p.m. Central Time. But of course, if you can't belly up to the radio dial and go to 1590 AM and 95.9 FM, ain't no thing. You can always just go to WCGOradio.com and you can always say, hey Alexa, play me WCGO. Okay, so the Elysabeth Alfano Show is the only radio show in the nation that is plant-based all the time, the only vegan radio show. So if you would like some of that in your hometown, just tell your local radio station or your sister's local radio station or your uncle's local radio station that they can get the Elysabeth Alfano Show on the Smart Talk Radio Network, coming to you anytime you want it. So again, thanks for being with me. Happy Easter, everybody, if that's what you're celebrating, or if you're in the middle of Passover, happy Passover. If you're getting ready for Ramadan, happy that too. So just happy. You know that if you're with me every Sunday, which I hope you are, that I break down the news, and it's Easter. It's a holiday, so I want to be happy, but I got to give it to you straight. And I think you know this. We're living through odd times, coronavirus times, and it's a drag and it's a bummer. And gosh, we can do better. So, as I hear people talk about coronavirus and wet markets in China, and they think it's some funky thing that is happening in a dark alley somewhere else, it's just not the case. Pandemics are meat borne. We have seen this with SARS and MERS, Asian bird flu, swine flu, mad cow disease. It's not always some wet market over there. That's wet market is this term, but it's basically animal butchering live with live animals and butchered animals right there. And really no different than factory farming, which is what you see with swine flu and bird flu and mad cow disease, pigs, birds, cows. So really the solution here is to just not eat meat. It's not good for us. We know this because of, heart disease and diabetes and obesity and high blood pressure. We know this already, but if there's any more reason to know it, it would be right now, as we're in a pandemic. And I'm just a little tired of staying at home and not being able to go to work, get a paycheck. These things get old, folks. So when you know better, you do better. Let's get on that. I'll say that bird flu is now here in the United States. South Carolina just had an outbreak. They've decimated 310,000 birds in an effort to catch up and not have that spread to humans. Not sure that that's going to be the case. So again, and I'll, all of these links are on my show page. My fabulous producers put that up. So I will have all these news links on the show page, but it's happening here as well. Pandemics, meat-borne pandemics happen here as well. It's not just over in China. So while it's great that there's a bipartisan effort to call on China to shut down wet markets, that's not the solution. The solution is to stop eating meat. So, if you don't believe it from me, and if you don't want to do your Google homework, let's just take it from the fabulous Dr. Fauci, because he and I got a thing going on. We see eye to eye. It boggles my mind how when we have so many diseases that emanate out of that unusual human-animal interface, that we don't just shut it down. I don't know what else has to happen for us to appreciate that. Oh, you are singing my song. I so agree with you. It's get with the program, folks. We just, there are better options, and they are plant-based. So in honor of plant-based options, and there are so many in the world, it's not just Impossible Foods and Beyond Meat. There are many options. I have started the Plant-Based Business Hour. It airs live every weekday, 1 p.m. on the Jane Velez Mitchell Facebook page. If you want to hear about all the great plant-based businesses that are out there because you're thinking, I want to switch away from meat because I know it's better for myself and my family and my health and the planet and the world and my wallet and my job and all these things, you can. There's so much out there. So I highlight these businesses every weekday at 1 p.m. Tune in. And also, if you're an investor, you're thinking, cha-ching, the way to make money in the future, you're reinventing the food system because we need a safe food supply system. And if you're going to reinvent the whole food system, there's money to be made there. So don't despair, folks. Don't despair. I am here to be a light of good news. Plant-based options, all protein has always come from plants. Animals are just the middlemen, so we don't need them. It's not a good equation for us. And I've got all those news articles this week to prove it. So as we look to something better and more positive, let's just all agree that it is not Tiger King, as much as that is keeping our focus in these coronavirus times. Just odd and freaky. Can we not just leave animals alone? Oh my God. So that is not the answer, but here's kind of a little fun thing to keep your spirits up. Go to Jack Black's Twitter feed. Jack Black, comedian, he likes to dance around in his underwear with cowboy boots and a cowboy hat. Super funny. But he also got on his Twitter feed recently and said, oh no, not for me. Will not do a meat burger anymore. It just causes too much damage. I got to say, I love him. So that is Jack Black's personal story. But I thought on this day of Easter and family that I would bring together some of my close friends to hear their stories about how they went vegan. I think I've got Ken Kornblue hanging out in his office. Ken, how are you?
I'm good, Elizabeth. Happy Easter and happy Passover for those of you who celebrate one of those too. How's everybody?
Yes. Thanks for saying that. So, sadly, it's kind of short with you. I've only got about 3 minutes, but I'm wondering, when did you go vegan and why did you go vegan?
So I went vegan about a year ago in sort of a progressive way. It took me a couple months to get fully on board. And now I've been pretty much like 99.999% vegan for the past 4 or 5 months. It's been a great journey and a wonderful experience to do it.
So what did your doctor have to say about that?
My doctor was supportive because my doctor is very progressive in terms of healthcare things. And so she said, go for it. Can't hurt.
And how about those cholesterol numbers?
So I had been struggling getting my cholesterol down. And so my doctor has tried putting me on different medications. None of them really worked for me. I kept having side effects from taking statins and things like that. So I was kind of at a loss and didn't know what to do. So I thought, this certainly should help going vegan. And so about 6 or 8 weeks after going vegan, I had a blood test and my levels had gone down about 30 points, which put me from the danger zone to sort of a kind of normal place.
Boom. And what I love about that story is that it happened pretty fast.
Yeah, real fast. And so far it's been like a couple more months. I had another set of blood tests. The numbers stayed low. So much better than taking a drug to do that. And I feel great with it.
Yeah. Wow. So you made a diet switch and in 3 or 4 weeks, you had the results you wanted. How awesome is that? Okay. But you're a guy and you were kind of one of the first in your group to move forward with veganism. So what happens when you're out, it's guys' night out and you're the dude saying I would like vegetable soup, please. How does that go for you?
Well, these days, the real hot diet is keto. So you couldn't be more opposite being vegan, right? So there's one group of people I have a meal with every week. We go out for a Korean breakfast, which tends to be pretty meat oriented. So at first I got a lot of resistance and a lot of sniping and commentary about it, but then slowly but surely people came around. I think they saw my overall state of health. And they saw me do it, and they started slowly asking questions. And I just kind of bided my time, didn't push too hard. And lo and behold, about over this period, 3 of the 8 guys have now tried veganism and have been just real happy with the results.
I love it. So now they're all following you, and you've got a crew of men who were resistant, and now they're all on the vegan bandwagon. Ken Kornblue, thanks for being with me.
My pleasure, Elizabeth. Have a good day. Bye.
We just heard in the last segment, Ken Kornblue, he's an investor, and all of his guy friends were like, I don't know about this dude. And then lo and behold, they wanted to get the cholesterol numbers that he's been getting, and they're all coming around, which I think is really kind of fun. I have another guest with me here today, James Robinson. He's an interior designer and a real estate guru. James, how the heck are you?
Hey, I'm good, Elizabeth. Just self-quarantined here.
I love that you're styling there. And look at you, how you take your mask off. For those of you listening on radio, we're talking about Facebook right now. Take your mask off so well so you don't touch it. Just the elastic on the side. You know what you're doing.
Sometimes I keep it on at home just so I don't keep eating around the house. I found that actually works quite well.
So we've been talking about how, when people go to college, they call it putting on the freshman 15. It's the COVID 15. I mean,
Totally.
all we're doing is sitting around eating. It's awful. And cooking. And me, who cooks so much plant-based stuff, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm a little tired of cooking. Like, I want to get back to it. I want to get back to my life. Well, okay. So tell me about your, I'll say, quote unquote, vegan journey. But how long have you been plant-based, and why did you do it?
Well, to be honest, I haven't really made completely the switch to vegan. I would say that I started kind of phasing it into my diet. And it was a good kind of experiment. I've tried lots of diets without a lot of success.
Mm.
I don't tend to commit for as long a period of time as I would like. So I've been through every kind of fad diet you can imagine, but there is a substantial change with, I think, flipping the switch and becoming vegan, because there's lots of other reasons besides your health to become a vegan. So, I've researched it, I've tried lots of dishes, and have kind of incorporated it into my diet, but I'm not fully vegan yet.
So, what happens when you're out and about and you're with a bunch of people who maybe aren't vegan either, but you really want to be as close as you can to plant based? How do you handle those kind of situations?
So actually, I do this when I'm traveling, or when I'm with my partner and we're just at home and having dinner. You know, if people are ordering meat and other things, I often order additional side dishes, and I
Yeah.
can make that into a meal. So if I decide we're going out to a specific type of restaurant, maybe it's tapas, or maybe it's Asian cuisine of some kind, or Thai food, I can always find an option if I am really focused and want to kind of stay in the vegan wheelhouse. There's always an option.
I find that true as well. People, I mean, I guess back in the day, it used to be like, okay, you couldn't get anything vegan, but I mean, there's always salads on the menu. And
Right.
I will say, shout out to restaurants. Please hit me up if you need help veganizing your menu, because it's really obnoxious when you have to say, take off the chicken and take off the cheese, but go ahead and
Yeah.
charge me the full price. That's kind of annoying. So, I mean, I do help out a lot of restaurants, and I do recipe development for some companies, but even salads aside, you can always hit the side dishes
Right.
and get steamed, garlic and spinach over rice, and
Yeah.
potatoes, people, potatoes. They're good for you, and gosh, they taste good. So there's always options, and usually filling, and then you end up feeling better. So even though you're satiated, you don't feel like, oh my god, I have to roll home and go to bed.
Right. Right.
So I'm wondering, have what are the noticeable differences for you? So you say you're not 100% plant-based or vegan, but you like it, you've been able to stick to it, and you are majority, let's say, plant-based. What differences have you noticed in how you feel?
I definitely notice that my digestion is better.
Mm,
I think as you get older, you start to notice that certain foods don't really sit well with you like they used to. It's harder for me to eat cheeses and different things.
yes.
I've noticed that my body doesn't react quite the same. So I also have incorporated intermittent fasting into my kind of
Oh,
weekly routine. And what I find is when I come out of that, it's nice to start really with a vegetarian kind of vegan diet for the first couple of days as I transition, into the rest of the week. So, and I also work hard to have a good amount of protein in my diet, and I'm a real fan of plant-based proteins. And I found more and more products, particularly different kinds of protein shakes and things that are plant-based, that I can use as part of my workouts, as part of my regular diet that supplement that. So overall, I don't have that kind of feeling of sluggishness and feeling fatigued and tired that I think sometimes comes when you have a heavy meal, and particularly when you have meat and those kinds of things in your diet.
well, I understand why you say about digestion, because, and I was floored when I learned this. So don't feel bad if you don't know it, folks. Meat has no fiber, none,
Right.
zero. So, we have these long digestive tracts, and it's just going to sit there for probably 2 or 3 days, depends on the individual. But, so you can't have a healthy diet without fiber. You just can't, not possible. So that's what's so great about these plant-based proteins, is that they come with fiber, and plants are the original proteins. So I know this is hard for people to wrap their mind around, because they've been advertised to the exact opposite. But protein does not come from animals.
Hmm.
Protein comes from plants.
Yep.
Plants Animals eat plants, and they synthesize it into something else, but you can just get rid of the middleman, and all of the original protein comes from
Right.
plants. So and stands to reason, giraffes and elephants and ox and all these things, these huge herbivores get all the protein they need. So,
Yeah.
uh, okay, so you decided to switch over. Did you have any like cravings, or so every once in a while someone will say, oh, the first 2 weeks I had a headache, or were you craving meat at all, or it was kind of an easy switch?
Well, to be honest, I've never been someone that eats a lot of heavy meat. I tend to
Mm.
be more of a poultry and fish kind of person and have had that in my diet for a long time. So making the transition away from meat wasn't that difficult. The meat substitutes that I found, I've been really impressed with. Being in quarantine, I've had lots of time to experiment and cook and try some of your recipes.
Yeah,
And I made a
thank
vegan
you.
chili with Beyond Meat for the first time. I had never tried that before. And I was so impressed with the way that it tasted
Yeah.
and the way it kind of felt like meat in preparing it. Like you didn't even notice any difference.
Yeah, so great in chilies, but also great in lasagnas, great in pasta bolognese, great in
Yeah.
tacos. I mean, just really a great replacement there. You're seeing lots of companies. Again, shout out for me. I do this weekday show on facebook.com/Jane Velez Mitchell called the Plant Based Business Hour. You've got, Impossible Grounds, Beyond Meat Grounds, Uncut Burger Grounds. So all really good and lots of options. And I even make, and James, you would like this, I even make my own meat grounds. I take tempeh,
Hmm.
fermented soy. Again, did we talk about the original protein? Soy has all the
Right.
9 essential amino acids. And then I season it, because why do people like meat? They might like it for the seasoning. So I do paprika and soy sauce
Hmm.
and cumin, and I season it so it's really healthy. But I'm not saying
Sounds
Beyond
great.
Meat's not healthy. It's healthier than meat for sure. But it comes in a package. You can all see that. No one thinks it's a carrot. So if you really had time on your hands, like maybe during coronavirus, I'll send you that recipe as well. Okay, so this conversation always goes so quickly. Gosh darn it! But I'm wondering if in your circle of friends, and I can tell everybody that you live in Chicago. Ken Kornblue, who's with us before, lives in LA. So we're getting different perspectives from all over the world here, the United States at least. Are your friends starting to make the connection that meat is one unhealthy, but that meat is the source of the pandemic that we are experiencing now, as well as previous pandemics?
Yeah, I think that the conversations I've had with people, that is kind of top of mind. And when you see the news and the source of the virus being in some of these wet markets in China, and how it made the transition from, you know, different animals to animals that we eat commonly. I think it it is an aha moment where people realize that there is a connection there, and not only because you're concerned about how animals are treated and the ethical aspect of eating meat, but also just the sheer importance of it for health reasons and public health reasons. And COVID-19, I think, has opened all of our eyes as to that transition and that possibility of becoming sick and having pandemics like this as a result of eating meat.
Yes, I hope that that's true. I live so firmly in this world where I'm trying to get out the information from the health perspective, the public health perspective, as well as the individual health perspective, from the pandemics to the heart disease, from the high
Right.
cholesterol to the many meat-borne pathogens. It's not just Corona, COVID-19. So I always wonder, are other people getting the message? I mean, mainstream media isn't talking about this at all. And yet there's this incredible underground force. And I talk about this a lot on the radio show. You ain't never going to find change from government. It always happens because of individuals.
Yeah.
And governments are
Right.
the last to change. You can look at this with women's rights, with gay rights, with civil
Yeah.
rights, always the last to change. So don't be waiting on your government, folks. But I'll just read you a statistic. Archer Daniels Midland, by no means are they a biased entity, revealed that 44% of the US consumers now identify as flexitarians, which is really the
Hmm.
market that I speak to here. Flexitarians are people who are primarily vegetarian, but occasionally eat meat or fish. So basically, they're you, James. You
Yeah.
are really the majority of people. That's where the market's going. The market's not shifting because of vegans. The market's shifting because of flexitarians. People want to start
Right.
getting a healthier life for themselves and for the planet and for their jobs and for their wallets. So I think it's happening, but I'm always wondering, in like middle America, just the average person on the street, you think they're making that connection?
Well, I think it's starting a conversation. I think
Hmm.
why we're all sitting in our houses here, wondering
Yes,
why we're here, and seeing
right.
some of the reports on the news. I mean, CNN recently did cover the source, sourcing this back to the wet markets and some of the challenges of pandemics and how they evolve
Hmm.
out of eating meat. And you've seen some of the public health officials even comment about that. So I think it's starting a conversation. I don't think it's in common public awareness yet,
Hmm.
but it's interesting that how we're all affected by the things that happen in one part of the world now, right?
Yes,
Um, and if we
right.
can all make that little mental shift to just change a habit in our own personal life and our own personal diets, it can have a global impact.
Absolutely. Our dollars speak so loud and clear, and we vote with our dollars every single day. In fact, you
Yeah.
can vote 3 times a day. You don't have to wait till November because who even knows if November's happening now with coronavirus. So it's absolutely true. It all starts with us. Don't be waiting on your government. You have to advocate for yourself if you want a healthier life and a healthier lifestyle. Start working out the meat. Do yourself that big favor. I know that CNN did talk about it a little bit with making the connection to wet markets, but there's more to be done. Thanks for being with me, James.
Good being with you. Take care.
Okay, Barack Sarak, I think you are here with me. Thanks for joining the partay.
Hello, thank you for having me, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Is it fair to say you are, I'm going to use this global general term, a tech guy?
Yes, IT guy. I
Okay.
upgraded.
Oh, you've upgraded to IT. Well, good for you. Let me say that I am a dope when it comes to IT, and I so appreciate all that you guys do to like keep the world afloat, particularly in these coronavirus times. Just think what we would do without the internet right now.
Thank
And when
you.
it does go out on me, it's panic mode.
Well, we are considered essential workers, surprisingly.
Yeah. Oh, so you're still working then in these times?
Oh, yeah,
Are you going out to things, or you're doing it all remotely?
95% remote, but a lot of grocery stores and everything else runs on technology, so they need us. We have to go.
Of course, that makes so much sense. So,
Absolutely.
yes, yes, because like at Whole Foods or wherever you do your shopping, when they're out of things, are they just automatically reorder with the help of technology, right?
Everything. There's so much technology.
Everything. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, then, can you tell them to start reordering more plant based items? Because when I go to the grocery store, I cannot find tofu. It's always sold out. Beyond Meat's been sold out. Everywhere I go, all the good stuff is gone. So I hope that grocery stores are taking note that plant based items are in high demand.
Oh, yes.
Okay, well, so let me talk to you a little bit about your plant based vegan journey. When did you go vegan? I believe you're 100%. When did you go vegan and why?
I am 100% vegan. I went vegan 2014. Um,
Oh, wow.
I think around that time, Netflix had all these interesting documentaries coming out. So did watch a couple of those and a lot of question marks in my head all of a sudden, obviously, like everyone else. But then I started really seeing, thank God to social media, I started seeing a lot of scary stuff that, stuff happens behind closed doors, how they treat these animals. And seeing some of those videos, there was just one particular one. I'm not going to go into what it was. It was just horrific. And I was like, I can't be any part of any of this.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the light switch went off.
Yes, I love that you say this, that you made a connection, that you didn't want your dollars to go to things that didn't align with your own personal values. And the interesting thing is, we're in this odd COVID political time. So whether you're on the right or on the left, I am told from the vice president of the Humane Society of the United States, who's been on my interview show, the Awesome Vegans interview show, which, by the way, subscribe. It's on iTunes, where I interview all the vegan celebs and the people that really the movers and shakers making things happen. It's also on iTunes with the Plant Based Business Hour. So when you subscribe to Awesome Vegans, you get both Awesome Vegans and the Plant Based Business Hour. Just saying, I've been busy, folks. But so on that Awesome Vegans interview with Josh Bulk, he says that, when given the chance, if a bill can actually get to the legislative point, both Republicans and Democrats will vote for better conditions for animals, even if that means they have to pay more, because it does not sit well with people to treat animals poorly. Okay, so you switched over to veganism, and was it a hard transition, or how did you make that transition? And did you cheat at all? Did you one step up, two steps back? How did it go for you?
Honestly, it went a lot better than I expected it. I think I was lucky living in Chicago. Really, whatever I wanted, whether it was this sandwich that I loved from back when I used to eat meat, or it was this um, like a portobello mushroom which replaced oysters, or seitan that replaced gyros, I didn't have to miss food that I liked. And with so many great cheese alternatives, I mean, I was eating better. I was eating tastier food. I feel like vegan restaurants and vegan cooking is more flavorful, and there's no chance of you eating something bad either. You know, with meat and cheese, it goes bad quicker, and there's risks. So I was always eating better all of a sudden, and it was a great and easy transition for me. I guess it would have been harder if I didn't have access to such restaurants.
Sure. Yeah. Chicago's a kind of a vegan hub, which is so great. And there's the vegan hubs kind of popping up all over the place. Los Angeles, Brooklyn, London's a huge vegan hub. Tel Aviv is a huge vegan hub. But Chicago is a main one. They've got a bunch of vegan restaurants, but they also, because Chicago's always been a food town, they have a bunch of vegan headquarters. Upton's Naturals is headquartered in Chicago. Light Life is headquartered in Chicago. Field Roast is headquartered in Chicago. Milkademia is headquartered in Chicago. Dandy's Marshmallows, otherwise known as Chicago Vegan Foods, they do B2B vegan cheese. So there's lots of vegan headquarters as well. And then the National Vegetarian Museum is headquartered in Chicago. So a lot of really central to the United States vegan movement stuff happens in Chicago. And I'll throw out, I'm doing a little history here, a little side note, but Chicago is the birthplace of vegetarianism. And the only reason I say vegetarianism is because in the 1800s, the word vegan hadn't been coined yet until 1944. So vegetarianism came over to the United States from England at the 1893 World's Fair. And who did that? Chicago. So it's got a pretty awesome history for vegans. But yeah, so when you wanted to go vegan, you had lots of vegan restaurant choices. But in 2014, there still weren't, there wasn't Beyond Meat for you.
Correct, correct. I mean, it's not like it is now. I was just on the internet a couple days ago looking at websites where you can order um, anything and everything even to your door these days. So it wasn't this comfortable. But, a little sacrifice, which actually made me feel good before, during, and after that meal, went a long way. All of a sudden, I started, after trying it for 2, 3 days, I started feeling better immediately. So it was also that, like, it wasn't going to be an easy transition going back, or easy thing going back and eating meat again, because I just remembered, wait, I'm not feeling that heavy. I'm not feeling that guilty. I'm not feeling that awkward eating this big hunk of flesh. So there was that as well.
I love that you say that and you use the word sacrifice. And let's talk about that for a second, because I think most people think like, ugh, it's going to be a big sacrifice, but they don't think about all the benefits that I would actually say make it not a sacrifice, but just make it a tweak in your behavior so you feel better. You also get the better numbers from your doctor, all in terms of high blood pressure, cholesterol, all that. You know that you have a safe food supply. Let's face it, folks, we're here with coronavirus because we don't have a safe food supply, and we need a safe food supply. And then in addition, you're not destroying the environment, which, AKA, that's your kid's future, by the way. And you're not being supporting cruelty to animals. So it's just like win, 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 to the point that I hope COVID-19 is teaching us, like, we got to figure this out, because what we're doing now, just chasing a vaccine to this one COVID-19, but it won't solve the next meat-borne pandemic. And there will be another one, because the one we're experiencing now comes after Ebola, mad cow disease, bird flu, swine fever. So, we're in a series of pandemics. So the solution, folks, is just stop eating meat. And you don't have to sacrifice. I would say you got Beyond Meat, but more than that. I mean, we're coming out. Please watch my show, The Plant-Based Business Hour, every weekday at 1 p.m. on Facebook Live. Jane Velez Mitchell page, about 900,000 followers. You're going to see plant-based bacon. You're going to see plant-based ribs. It's plant-based steak. It is coming. And just to your point, Barack, you could go to Veestro, VEESTRO.com, put in the keyword Elysabeth Alfano and get 20% off your orders to have vegan meals delivered to your house, so that you just have 21 meals a week and it's all vegan and you don't even have to think about it. I mean, it's not just that there are products out there, but there are food delivery systems and there's innovation happening. And if you are a business business person, tune into the Plant-Based Business Hour. But more than anything, cha-ching, cha-ching, money to be made is plant-based, because that's where the future's going. And so it's very exciting. Well, let me ask you, in your circle of friends around you, are they making the connection between eating meat and the demise of our planet?
It's really interesting. News is everywhere now, and I feel like it's
Mm,
kind of hard to escape. I was just reading yesterday, you can see Himalayas in India. Pollution is down.
right.
It, it's like Earth needed this break to breathe, and
Mm,
people are reading this news from all over the place. A lot of my friends currently are actually cooking at home because of what's going on. And it's much easier to have that dried chickpea that you can make something out of the next day, or that canned vegetable, than to deal with fresh produce or fresh meat. So a lot of people are eating less meat these days, thankfully, my friends. But before that, I had a tradition where I would take my friends every Sunday for brunch, vegan brunch,
I
and
love
usually pick
you.
those people that don't eat vegan food because they're like, oh, vegan food is weird. So whatever the reason, I can get them to eat more vegan food. Um, Things are happening.
I agree with you. Things are happening, and you and I are the same. So I love to throw dinner parties. I love to cook for people, and I am always throwing dinner parties. And I'm just saying, hey, we're having lasagna. Come on over, and it's my vegan lasagna, and oh, so good. That recipe is on ElizabethAlfano.com. Just go to click the recipes tab and the dinner tab. But I got boatloads of meat oriented recipes that aren't meat. So gyros and Chicago style Italian beef, lasagna, pasta, chili, all the good stuff. It's all in there. So I love that you try to expose people to vegan food. And what's the response from your macho male friends?
It's surprisingly, I sometimes catch them talking to each other. One of them would be like, "Yeah, Barack took me to eat some vegan burger, and I first got my own, but then when I bit on his, because sometimes we end up in places where there's, everything, they end up liking my Beyond Burger more than whatever they're eating. So I'll hear those things, which um, they like Beyond Burgers taste more, which is very interesting. Interesting. And sometimes I can take them to all vegan restaurants, and I catch them asking me, "Hey, can we go back there again when we get together?"
I love that. I love that. And shout out to the vegan restaurants who are holding in there. It's been a very tricky time for them. Some of them have doubled up on delivery and takeout. Some of them have just decided to close. Some of them, like Kitchen 17, I've been sending deep dish Chicago style pizza across the United States. They have upped their delivery game. So now that they can get flash frozen deep Chicago pizza to 32 states across the United States. So I've been sending people vegan pizza left and right. I've been having to get creative, but I just want to share the joy in knowing that there's a solution, and that is really important to me. So, Barack, I hope that you're going to stick with me. Will you be around for the next segment?
Sure.
Okay, we'll be back with Barack Sirac. It's the Elizabeth Alfano Show on WCGO. Barack Sirac, thanks for joining me again and staying with me for another segment.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Okay, so you are a global tech guy. We love you for all that you do. And you have been vegan since about 2014, so maybe 6 years or so. Made the transition not too hard for you. You were feeling great about your choice. And then you've been kind of spreading the vegan love by taking your friends out to vegan joints. But it's not the only way you spread the vegan love. Tell me what you are up to with vegan nights. I love it.
Vegan Nights has been great. Six of us, big bad biker guys with good hearts, started a vegan motorcyclist enthusiast group. We are all vegan, of course, and Vegan Nights is our patch on the back of our cuts. We ride together, we go to events together. And what's best about it is we are hanging out with a lot of people who eat meat all day, every day, because it's manly. So we grab our Beyond Burgers and join the fun and ride our bikes across town and try to bring more people to the dark side.
Okay, so I want to break it down for people a little bit. First of all, everybody likes to say motorcycle gang. That's not true because you're not Hell's Angels, you're not breaking the law, but you are a motorcycle group, club, enthusiast thing. But I don't want that word club to diminish this. It is the real deal. I realize that radio can't see us, but on Facebook, you want to show me that cut you're wearing that says Vegan Nights?
Sure, here's our patch.
Oh, I love it. Look at that, people. Okay, so that says Vegan Nights Chicago. You just showed us on Facebook. Thanks for that. Your cut that you wear when you go riding. Can people join? Do you have to be in Chicago to join Vegan Nights, or can you join from wherever?
No, so it's phenomenal. Actually, we about a couple of months ago had Holly come on board. She's out of Virginia area. So we have 7 members, patch members now. They're all over the place. We have John in Vegas, Oklahoma. We have Chris. Mark is out here in Illinois. There's Gerald in Oregon. He's moving now. So you can be anywhere. I mean, we have people interested out of Italy. They're interested in joining. So we're all about spreading the word, and we're all about motorcycles. So we have very little limitations compared to other motorcycle clubs.
Okay, so what you do, as you say, in this motorcycle club, how can you become a member? You have to have a certain level of bike, I think. And what are the requirements? Because we all want to join.
Well, first of all, we would love to have you support us. We have a Facebook supporter group, facebook.com/vegan nights. Our website is in the process, vegannights.com. As you become a supporter, you could be riding. Hopefully, at some point, you are riding because it's a lot of fun. So we ask that you have a motorcycle, and we ask that you follow a vegan lifestyle. And vegan diet, and those are the 2 requirements. Then we have a period where we let you in. We want to make sure you're joining to stay, because we do want to do things. We don't want to just get on the bikes and ride. We're actually raising money for different sanctuaries every month. We're taking a month off right now because of the current crisis, but we'll be doing that starting soon again. So we're not just going to be another club. We like to get involved. We want to get sponsors. So it's not really that hard to join. If you like bikes and if you like vegan food, you're halfway there.
You're in. Okay, so I really want to highlight what's going on here. First of all, poor men have been sold an unfortunate advertising program that you have to eat meat to be manly, which means you basically have to talk about sacrifices. You have to give up your health to be manly. You have to subject yourself to potentially erectile dysfunction, heart disease, diabetes, obesity. You have to stuff your face with meat to be a man, and that puts you at a health risk. So here you're turning around the concept of what it means to be manly. You're riding your bikes, you've got your cut, you're heading to these biker bars, and you're spreading the word of veganism. And really what you're doing, I say spreading the word as if like you're trying to convince other people. Actually, you're just giving them an option because, again, men have been sold this unfortunate advertising program that works against them. So I love that you're out there like doing the manly thing. And it's good for men and good for the planet and good for animals. But I also love that, in this time of COVID-19, we can all sit around on our couch and say, oh my gosh, China did this thing over there. It's them. Or we can say, I want to be part of the solution. I'm tired of being part of the problem. And the Vegan Nights Motorcycle Club really does that. It says like, okay, I want to see a different world for myself, for my kids, for animals, for the planet. And I'm sick of COVID-19. So like, let's take to the streets and ride and spread the word. I love that you're mission oriented.
Yeah, definitely. We have big goals. Hopefully someday we'll have a clubhouse where we flip Beyond Burgers. We want to get some vegan jerkies made for the road that has vegan nights on it. So we want to be out there. We want to turn heads. We're already attending motorcycle festivals as well. So we're kind of getting mixed in the crowd of macho man who rides bikes, the bad guys. But I think at the end of the day, there is nothing bigger than having a good heart and having compassion in it. So people see that, and it changes minds quickly.
I love that you say that. Damian Mander, used to be a sniper for the American government and decided to use his skills to protect animals instead, and is now an anti-poacher defending animals in Africa. He always says that real men are protectors. They don't beat up on the weak. They don't take advantage of women or animals or children. They actually protect and stand out in front for the defenseless. So that makes a lot of sense to me that you're taking that kind of philosophy with your vegan club. So I want to. So I'm a supporter, and I'm on your page, and I ride behind my boyfriend's bike because he's vegan, and so we're vegan riders. But I don't actually ride my own bike, so I'm just a supporter on the page, which means all the people can be supporters on the Vegan Nights Facebook page. So I hope that everybody will hit you up, and I love that you sort of take it to the streets. What kind of resistance do you get, briefly, if you can share with me, from some of the people in the biker bars?
I really thought we were going to get this big, oh my God, something is wrong with you, you need to leave this place kind of reaction. Especially some of the places we go, like big Harley Davidson festivals, and there's a lot of bikers with the biker culture present there. But it's been more of curiosity. I've had people approach us and say, vegan, like, do you mean you guys are vegan? Like, they would be turning heads and asking questions. And sometimes we're reaching out to people because sometimes we actually do find vegan products at these motorcycle festivals. So all in all, thank God, so far no bad news to report, and hopefully there won't be any bad news to report in the future. I think people are curious more than they're afraid.
I hear this story again and again. So the first guest that I had on this radio show is Ken Kornblue. He's an investor, a finance guy, and he was saying people gave him a little bit of slack in the beginning when he went vegan, but more than anything, they were curious. They would pull him aside, they would ask questions, and slowly on their own accord, because he's not a big talker about this at all, on their own accord, they would start mimicking his diet because they could see that he was feeling better. He was losing weight. He was, acting young and energetic for his age. And so I find, like, I did a radio show once in Chicago on a couple times, actually. They keep asking me back, Man Cow in the Morning with Mancow Mueller. Shock jock, for those who maybe don't know around the country. Shock jock, real in your face, eat meat kind of guy. And every time I go on the show, there's some other guests in the studio, and they're always asking me about a vegan diet. And they pull me aside. It's always a quiet conversation, and they always ask for my card and say, do you think you could help me just get started? Because, when you don't feel well, you really can't do much. And people, that really resonates with people, particularly as they get older. I'll just share with you really briefly my story of how I went vegan, because I think we're talking about families and stories today, and how everyone kind of turned the corner. And I had wanted to go vegan my whole life. As a kid, I couldn't chew meat. Like, I knew, I couldn't tell you that it was animals that were being harmed, but I knew something was wrong. And my folks, whom I love, and they love me back, they were freaked out that I wouldn't get protein. So they punished me really severely. And I didn't want to stay at the table for hours by myself. So I started hiding the meat everywhere, in my pockets, in my room, under the table. And then they found the meat there, and they punished me for lying, but they doubled up the punishment. So then I had to go to my room, and I couldn't be with the family for hours. Everybody else would be watching TV, and I couldn't be a part of the family at all. I was really ostracized. So fast forward, I'm an adult, and it stays with me that I have no choice. I have to eat meat. It's what people do. And I had seen all their factory farm footage by now. I'm an adult, I know. And I just realized that this is what we do as adults. We live with this dichotomy. We have to eat meat, even though we know that we're being cruel to animals. And then my nephew, who's an athlete, he went to the University of Oregon. He came back his first semester, Thanksgiving, and he said, oh yeah, coach said, if I want to play for the team, no meat, no dairy. And I was like, you've got a professional, an adult, to give you permission. I was way into my 40s. I'd been waiting for permission my whole life. I went vegan that sentence. I finally got the permission I'd been wanting for decades. And the funny thing is I lost a little bit of weight. Woohoo! I had some more energy. But what I didn't really realize is that this whole time I'd been carrying around a burden that my values didn't align with my actions. And when I no longer had to carry that burden, because it doesn't align with my actions to be cruel to my values to be cruel to animals, when I didn't have to carry that around anymore, I was like lighter than a feather. It just felt wonderful.
For sure.
Well, Barack, I want to thank you for being with me today and really thank you for all that you do. Is there one tip that you would give the macho man on how to start changing his diet?
I would say get that big, fat, juicy burger that you like, but replace everything with vegan stuff and surprise the heck out of yourself. You'll be shocked how good it is.
Yeah, because what do you have to lose at this point? I mean, it's COVID-19. We're all stuck inside. We don't have a job. It's just pure craziness. So what do you have to lose at this point? You might just get some energy and shed some weight. Barack Sarak, I want to thank you for being with me. Vegan Nights, folks. It's on the Facebook page. Become a supporter. I am. It's the Elysabeth Alfano Show on WCGO. I'm here every Sunday, 3 p.m. Central. See you next week, everybody.